Hey, welcome to Miss Aundrea's Storytime.
Barbie, big city, big dreams. The magnificent skyline of New York City rose tall and inspiring through the windows of the cab as Barbie sat in the back seat video chatting with her parents. Wow, I wish you were here to see this. Everything is so big. I love it already. I'm so excited for you, honey, her dad replied through her phone. It really is a dream come true, Barbie said. This summer arts program is the first step toward a fabulous career on Broadway. Barbie daydreamed happily about being on stage in sold-out Broadway shows. Barbie arrived at the Handler Arts Academy, where she was going to spend the summer perfecting her multi-talents of singing, music, dancing, and acting. But my first challenge, Barbie thought, is to get inside with all my stuff. Barbie couldn't see past her large box as she struggled up a ramp. At the top, she stumbled and her luggage rolled back down. "Whoa! Runaway suitcase!" a voice said. Barbie turned and saw another girl stop the suitcase by sticking out her leg. Barbie thanked the girl, and the two entered the revolving door, but Barbie had trouble rolling her suitcase out of the way fast enough for the other girl to exit. They crashed into each other, sending their boxes flying and scattering their instruments across the lobby. The girls walked down a hallway, reading the names on the doors. They both stopped when they saw Barbie Roberts. "I'm Barbie Roberts," they said in unison. They looked at each other, amazed. They shared the same name. Barbie from Malibu discovered her new friend was Barbie from Brooklyn, and from then on, they called each other Malibu and Brooklyn. Malibu and Brooklyn got to know each other as they unpacked. Brooklyn shared that she had intense dance training. "I'm more self-taught," Malibu confided. "I write songs, but I can't read music." Brooklyn offered to teach her to read music, and Malibu said she'd teach Brooklyn how to play guitar. Since it was Malibu's first trip to New York City, Brooklyn showed her the sights. As they were posing for a pic in front of a famous theater marquee, Brooklyn declared, "Our names will be up there someday." "You mean name?" Malibu laughed. They ran to catch the subway and Brooklyn effortlessly jumped on. But Malibu's backpack got stuck in the closing door. Brooklyn tugged her inside and they both giggled as they landed in their seats. Malibu spotted a gum ad featuring Emmy, the pop star. "Oh, she's my favorite," Barbie squealed. Brooklyn looked away, sadly. "You don't like her?" Malibu asked. "She's an amazing singer," Brooklyn responded. Then she revealed, "It's just, we used to be friends, before she was famous." On the first day of the summer program, all the students sat in the theater, buzzing with excitement. But Brooklyn noticed a scared-looking girl in the back who had mouse brown hair and glasses. Brooklyn thought she looked familiar, but couldn't place her. Up on stage, Dean Morrison announced that she and the instructors would observe their classes to select the winner of the Spotlight Solo, which will stream live from Times Square. There would only be one name on the marquee, so she advised them to practice. Leaving the theater, Brooklyn took one more curious peek at the girl in the last row. To the girls' surprise, they saw an adorable dog in the hallway. They followed him to the costume department where they met his owner, Rafa. Rafa's wit and friendly personality was as colorful as the clothes he designed, and they liked him right away. Rafa gave them 2 dresses that would be fabulous on them. "Because," he declared, "I know a couple of divas when I see them." "Oof," Malibu mumbled as she missed a step. She looked in the mirror and could see all the other students in her dance class. They were learning choreography, and everyone else seemed to pick up the moves effortlessly. They were all so good. especially Brooklyn, she thought, watching her friend's graceful reflection. And Lee's amazing too, she noticed. She wondered if anyone saw her stumble, especially Dean Morrison, who was at the back of the room watching. Malibu worried that the other students made it look easy, but she kept face planting. While learning stage combat, her fencing partner's moves were smooth and steady, but Malibu's sword flew out of her hand and skittered across the stage. In music class, her guitar playing was so off-key, the other students grimaced. Brooklyn sent Malibu a comforting wink, and she felt better knowing they were in this together. She knew she had to get out of her own head. If she could relax, she'd stop stumbling. She had to be patient with herself. She just hoped Dean Morrison, who always seemed to be watching, would be patient with her too. "Hey, Barbie," Ken said loudly when she answered the video chat in her dorm room. "Shh, it's later here than in Malibu," she whispered. "My roommate's sleeping." It was the middle of the night, but Malibu was relieved to see his smiling face. Knowing Ken would be supportive, Malibu confided that she felt like she didn't have enough experience or training to be at the academy. "The others are so good," she said. She told him about Brooklyn Barbie and how talented she is. "But, Barbie, you're one of the most talented people I know," Ken said. "And you're always up for a challenge." Malibu promised she'd go easier on herself and do her best. She was thankful to have good friends like Ken, and now Brooklyn, to encourage her. Brooklyn, Malibu, and Rafa met the brown-haired girl in the crowded cafeteria. The girl, whose name was Lee, seemed familiar to Brooklyn. Gradually, it dawned on her, Lee, her old friend Emily, she was the pop star Emmy in disguise. "Hi, Barbie," Lee said, briefly pulling a lock of red hair from beneath her wig and lowering her glasses to show them she was really Emmy. She explained to Brooklyn that her dad, who was also her manager, made her give up their friendship. "After I became famous, I wasn't allowed to have a life," she said regretfully. Lee told them she didn't want anyone to know who she was because she didn't want to be treated differently. "But you are different," Malibu gushed. "You're Emmy. I'm a huge fan." But when she saw Lee's serious face, she understood. "Oh, I guess that's exactly what you don't want." "Sorry," Malibu said, and everyone agreed to keep Lee's secret. It was a beautiful day, and Brooklyn was showing Malibu some dance moves in the park. They chatted and laughed like sisters. "I'm so happy Lee is back in my life," Brooklyn said, and relieved it was her dad who dumped me and not her. "That had to hurt," Barbie said. "Both of you." Brooklyn nodded sadly, but then smiled. "And I'm glad my mom's a pilot and not my manager," she laughed. They both dreamt of being on Broadway, but not to be famous. They just love performing. "Fame sure has its downside," Brooklyn said. "If you have to give up your friends, so not worth it," Malibu agreed. When they got back to the academy, Dean Morrison was introducing a special guest, Mr. Miller, from the board of directors, who was going to observe their classes. Lee was annoyed when she saw that Mr. Miller was really her father. "Dad, what are you doing here?" she demanded once the other students left. Lee's father was angry she wasn't on tour. He said he was going to protect her career by ensuring she won the solo spotlight. "But I'm not here to win," she insisted. "I'm here to learn." He wasn't listening. "Remember who you are," he told her. "And remember those two Barbie girls aren't your friends. They're your competition." All the students were in the theater warming up and doing their own thing. Some were playing instruments, some singing, some just hanging out and watching. Rafa was videoing the action and Mr. Miller was observing from the back. Malibu, Brooklyn, and Lee were on stage, giggling and dancing wildly when suddenly Malibu lost her balance. Trying to steady herself, she accidentally knocked Brooklyn off the stage. Malibu and Lee watched in alarm as Brooklyn toppled into the orchestra pits. Oh man. Later that day, Malibu and Lee sat in the cafeteria waiting for news about Brooklyn. What if she can't dance? Malibu worried. What if she lost her chance at the solo spotlight because of me? Malibu felt guilty, but Lee assured her it wasn't her fault. It was an accident, Lee reminded Malibu, and the what-ifs won't make anything better. When Brooklyn returned with a sprained ankle, she and Malibu went to the park to chat. I'm so relieved it's not broken, Malibu said as Rafa joined them. It was just a little stumble on the path to greatness, Brooklyn replied wistfully. Rafa understood and confided that his designs didn't have the major wow impact he had hoped for. Malibu saw that her friends felt discouraged and was suddenly over her missteps, bringing her down. You know what we need? She announced. Good vibes. Yes, Rafa and Brooklyn agreed. They made a pact to always be each other's cheerleaders and to not be as hard on themselves. I'm going to let positivity take over, Malibu promised. Malibu began gliding through her classes with confidence. She wasn't perfect, but she was doing her best and having fun, and as a result, her performances improved. Her music instructor nodded approvingly as she strummed her guitar, and she parried fluently with her fencing partner. Nailed it, Brooklyn exclaimed after Malibu gracefully finished a dance routine. Malibu felt sure of herself for the first time since she arrived at Handler Arts Academy. But later, Malibu was called into Dean Morrison's office and received shocking news. I'm being cut from the program? Malibu asked. The dean nodded sternly. Frankly, I'm disappointed that you would sabotage a competitor by pushing her off the stage, Malibu protested. But it was an accident. The dean brushed her off. There was a witness, she informed Malibu. You must leave the academy immediately. Malibu left the office heartbroken. The dean then told Brooklyn that Malibu had intentionally pushed her off the stage. At first, Brooklyn defended Malibu, but the dean convinced her it was true. There was a witness? Brooklyn asked sadly. I thought she was my friend. Brooklyn left the office heartbroken. Malibu found Brooklyn in the music studio. You won't believe, Malibu began, but Brooklyn cut her off. I already know. You pushed me to cut me out the competition? Brooklyn said with disgust. What? No! It was an accident! Malibu tried to defend herself, but Brooklyn wouldn't listen. There was a witness, she exclaimed. Each girl was devastated that someone she thought was a friend could betray her so badly. Malibu walked out. There was nothing else to say. New York City looked less exciting from the backseat of the cab that returned Malibu to the airport for her flight home. She had packed all her belongings, but had left her friend and Broadway dreams behind. Back at the academy, Brooklyn sat sadly on her bed. Her dorm was half empty and felt lonely. There was no other Barbie Roberts to share it with now. Meanwhile, Rafa didn't believe Malibu would deliberately hurt Brooklyn, but fame had taught Lee you can't really trust anyone. No way, Rafa said. That girl was all about friendship. She even made me promise not to post a video of you so your secret wouldn't leak. Suddenly, they remembered. There's a video! The video proved it was an accident. It also revealed Lee's dad was the so-called witness. Looks like my father was the one who couldn't be trusted, she said sadly. Later, Brooklyn showed Dean Morrison the evidence that Malibu was innocent, and the dean regretted making such a terrible mistake. Luckily, Brooklyn said, I know how to fix it. On the other side of the country, Malibu was unpacking when she heard singing outside and was surprised to see Brooklyn performing on her lawn. "What are you doing here?" Malibu called out. "I came to apologize," Brooklyn said. Malibu couldn't believe she'd come all this way. "Remember I told you my mom was a pilot?" Brooklyn laughed. "Come on, you've been re-enrolled and we've got to get back. I'll explain on the plane." On the big day, Dean Morrison announced the name of the solo spotlight winner. Barbie Roberts. The two girls with one name performed a duet that wowed the audience. Their heartfelt song was a promise to always be each other's fiercest competition, but never let jealousy stand in their way. "Won't catch me holding back," Brooklyn and Malibu sang as the crowd cheered, "but I still got your back." Suddenly, they were joined on stage by another singer who removed her wig. "Emmy!" The audience went wild as they recognized the pop star. Emmy had decided to do things her own way, and that meant doing them with friends. The solo spotlight performance, which had turned into a Better with Friends performance, packed Times Square with the excited audience clapping and dancing. Brooklyn's and Malibu's family and friends were there to share this special moment. And up on the enormous screen for everyone to see were the smiling faces of not one, but two Barbie Roberts. The end.